Hi, welcome to another edition of the Voice of Aging podcast with Brynne Malone, the owner of Aging Solutions. And I am rejoined and happy to rejoin for part two with Aleshia and Jessica, who work and live basically, because we all live at work, in an independent and assisted living community. And we're learning all things about where the next step is for a lot of folks when it's time for them to move out of their home or their apartment where they're taking care of themselves and really need a higher level of care. So many questions are surrounded about that, and I just really appreciate you guys coming back
Thanks
and
for
joining
having
me.
us.
So Jessica, Aleshia, welcome. I guess I'd like to start out with just kind of doing a quick review of last conversation. I mean, we're throwing out terms like ADLs, IADLs, assisted living, CCRCs. Can you guys just kind of tell us what retirement community is, or how you would define it? What kind of people usually end up coming to stay with you?
Of course.
And just give us a general overview of kind of what we're going to talk about today and dive deeper into.
Perfect. Well,
Yeah.
an assisted living is a community where men and women can come who need anywhere from lower level assistance. So activities of daily living is ADLs. So
ADLs.
activities of daily living,
Okay.
anywhere from us preparing food to toileting, to shower, to medication management. So all of the different things throughout the aging process. The assisted living also supports socialization and a community setting.
Okay. Super important, right?
So important.
Why is socialization so important, Jessica?
Well, so many reasons. But most importantly, we find that folks who lack meaningful interaction with their peers on a daily basis, their cognition suffers, their motivation suffers.
Okay.
When you aren't leaving the house, when you aren't seeing anybody, when the days never change, when the conversations never change, when there's no meaningful interaction with anybody, you start to slide. I mean, you really do. And it has an impact on your physical ability, your motivation to take care of yourself, your ability to continue to thrive even as you're aging into this new chapter. And we're very fortunate in that there is a lot that we can offer under one roof. So you mentioned CCRC. That's a community with a continuum of care.
Okay.
And so what that looks like is we have independent living. And independent living, you're going to see folks who maybe a spouse has passed away, or maybe the house is just too big to take care of. I don't need any help getting a shower. I don't need any help with meds. But housekeeping would be nice. It would be nice to have my meals prepared for me. I don't have to worry about mowing the lawn. I don't have to worry about that heavy lifting of life. You know, I wake up and I talk to my friends and I go and eat, and that's my day. You're enjoying the amenities. And then with assisted living, you are getting some hands-on help in some form or fashion. If somebody is doing it to you, with you, for you, or on your behalf, you are getting an assisted service.
Okay.
And then there's higher level assisted livings, and then there's memory cares. So that when you're looking at communities, it's what all do they offer? Because moving's tough, and nothing gets any easier as you get older at all, right?
I can attest to that. Okay. I don't age myself. But yeah.
So finding places and communities that support your one-stop shop for the third act are fantastic, because you pick what suits you, knowing that wherever you go down the road, your needs can be met all the way along the way. Some places are just independent living. Some places are independent and assisted. Some places are assisted and memory care.
Yeah, and just to review, Aleshia is the executive director, is that, or
That's correct.
administrator, some people might call it, and you are the admissions
Community relations.
community relations.
Community
Okay, so you're out there.
relations.
So, kind of piggybacking on that, Aleshia, are all communities the same? Are all assisted livings the same? Because sometimes I've got clients and they have certain illnesses, and I have a hard time recommending a community to them. I mean, kind of stuck.
Everyone's really different. It's
Okay.
individualized. So in Washington State in assisted living, what we have is what's called a disclosure of services.
Okay.
It's what the assisted living can and can't do. So with that disclosure of services, it allows our residents, their families, and the community to see, okay, this assisted living is able to do ostomies. This assisted living is not able to do that. This assisted living can do lifts, mechanical lifts. This one can't. So I encourage everyone, especially when they're looking into a community, is finding the community that can meet the needs for the resident throughout the rest of their life. So those different levels of care is very important so they can stay in that one place.
How do we know that? So if I've got somebody and they are, and I'm thinking I'm the son or daughter, or I'm a professional advocate, and I'm like, I've seen a decline in this person's ability to pay their bills or, feed themselves or clean up after themselves. What is the required process for somebody to be admitted under like assisted, not independent? I mean, independent, they can come in on their own, right? Make that
Yep,
decision.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes.
What do you like? What do you want? And when do you want to move in? Pretty much.
Okay.
When they're under assisted living, we're going to go through, we're going to make sure we have a current history and physical. We have their health record. We
Okay.
have an order from their primary care physician. We want to make sure we are set up for success to be able to meet the needs for their journey.
Okay.
And that initial assessment that is done by the nurse, it's all based on that. So that's where with the assisted living, we do get a lot more involved, especially with health and their history, to make sure we're set up for success with them.
How do you interact with their physician on that, or do you have to interact with their
Oh,
physician?
absolutely.
Yes, we
yes.
do.
I mean, it's good to do your homework and shop around and look and visit as much as possible. But when it comes to that point that you've said, okay, we found the place, this is what we want, let's pull the trigger and get the ball rolling. That initiates a whole process of contacting the physician and saying, hey, we're going to assess this person for potential to admit. Please send us the records. The nurse reviews the records and then performs the assessment with the
Okay.
resident and their family. And then while the nurse is doing that assessment, she's doing a couple things at once. But the thing that is first and foremost in her mind is, what is their worst day going to look like? And can
Oh.
we accommodate their needs on their worst day?
day.
Because when it's
Okay.
it's easy, right? But it's when it gets tough and they're not doing so great, what does it look like? And are we the appropriate place to have those needs met? Going back to the disclosure of services.
Okay.
Our nurses are in it to win it long term. I mean, we don't have a crystal ball. We can't see the future, but we can make a pretty good educated guess on how things might
Based
go down
upon
the road.
how you've seen this play out with other residents. Are all assessments is there like a state standard for assessments, or do communities come up with their own assessment, or how's that work?
So each community does have their own assessment, but
Okay.
it is standardized in the aspect of really looks into their history. It looks
Okay.
into currently what their diagnoses are, what medications are they taking, all of that we can build the most accurate and best individualized care plan.
Okay.
And I think that that's something that's so important is when you're looking for a community, really finding a community that looks at every single man and woman individualized, because
Okay.
everyone is so different.
So you mentioned care plan. Is that just for Brynne Malone if I want to come into your facility and I need assistance with something?
No, that's for each and every one of our residents under assisted living
Okay.
and memory care.
Okay, so if I'm a family member and I'm looking at this care plan, is it talk about, what's it talk about? What does that care plan talk about?
It's their whole life, all of their activities of daily living.
Okay.
It is a map that gives our staff the viewpoint of exactly what we do for that resident.
It's an instruction manual for staff?
That is
Yeah.
correct.
Okay.
And not just the proper care and feeding of this human being. It's
Yeah.
what does Brynne Malone like and how does he like it? Does
Yeah.
he like to have ice cream for breakfast and wake up at noon?
Most of the time.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's what kind of some people prefer group activities. Some people prefer more one-on-one activities. Some people like their showers in the morning. Some people like their showers at night. So it really nails down not just the obvious things that you're going to do for somebody, but the little personalized things that makes it not just a plan of care, but a plan of care specific to that individual's needs and
So
preferences.
I was wondering about that because you eat in a big room, right? And I mean, all the residents come in and you have a couple hours for each meal. Am I
Yeah,
accurate?
the main dining room.
Okay.
That's
So how do you
correct.
keep that from feeling institutional? Like,
Oh, our main dining room?
yeah,
Oh, it's like a restaurant. No, it's like a restaurant.
that's why I ask these questions.
Yeah,
know.
no.
Oh, it's
Yeah, okay.
it's very important to. It's not institutionalized, and I
Okay.
think that's where Jessica does such a great job during these interactions. Jessica wants them to come in during our meal period.
Yeah.
She wants men and women to come in and see it's like a restaurant. We have servers. So
Okay.
our care staff, our community specifically, they're not the ones serving the residents. We have servers. It's restaurant style.
okay.
They're going to go
Order
to
off
each
the menu?
table,
Yeah,
order
yeah.
off the menu.
Here's what we're having today. If you don't like that, here's a whole list of anything else that you can have. And
Soup, sandwich, salad.
we know our people. We
Yes,
know who
yeah.
likes what. We know who's down on the ice cream and who
Yeah.
you can bribe with bacon and what they don't like and what their allergies are. And that's something that we're seeing more and more now is folks with special dietary needs, right? Because back when it was a very meat and potatoes generation where the wildest thing you saw was, well, I'm diabetic, I need a low sugar diet or I need a low sodium diet. But now we're seeing things like it's got to be gluten free. They're celiac. So
Wow.
All individualized.
yeah, and so that's where your
that's in the care plan?
dietary
That's correct.
director,
Okay.
steps in and will go and have a conversation with somebody that might need a specialized plan and say, all right, sit down and tell me what you like, tell me what you eat now, tell me what you don't like, and really work out something that is going to suit that person's preferences other than, well, we got a veggie burger, here you go. And you're going to have a veggie burger tomorrow too.
I think the other aspect in the main dining room that we love is the socialization and the interaction with all of the other residents. We have a very, very active resident crew, and it's just beautiful.
Best part, no assigned seating.
No assigned seating.
No assigned
You don't have a
seating.
name tag?
Right?
No.
They can sit
Nope, they are
wherever
grown-ups. They can sit wherever they want. And so
That's not everywhere.
No, it isn't. That's why
No.
it's such a big deal, right?
Yeah.
And folks, you didn't. What if you sit with people you don't like? It makes mealtime not fun, and it should be communal. So what we've done is we number all our tables, and so regardless who is sitting at which table, our servers can take the orders for that table, go back to the kitchen, and serve to the table number, not the people at
It's
it.
like at a restaurant.
And
Yeah. That's great.
Our staff relationships with our residents is fantastic.
They're everything.
They interact. It's not just here's your meal. They're talking to them about what they like, what they don't
Where's
like,
that
how
come
was
from?
it.
And not to pick on any certain generation, but a lot of the work ethic, I would imagine, with some of the ages of your staff, it's not what I was raised with. So how do you
Coaching.
overcome coaching?
It's coaching. I think coaching is such a big part of what we do. We're humans working with humans, and everyone has different training and experience. And that's one thing I think we're all so passionate about is really seeing these amazing young or, all different ages of men and women and seeing the potential. They want to do good, but sometimes they've never been into a specific situation. So we're here then to help coach them and mentor them while still learning every day ourselves. And I think that that's the biggest thing is having a culture of the biggest room is the room for improvement and really striving to make sure we're doing that to make sure our residents' lives are the very best. That's what they deserve.
Yeah.
Oh, and it's reciprocal. I mean, the relationships that we and our staff build with our residents are real relationships.
Human connections.
Real relationships.
How do the
And
families deal with that?
they
Amazing.
they love
They
it.
love it?
We
They
have the
love it.
best family.
Yeah.
No jealousy there, like,
No.
that's my mom.
Oh, no.
No.
No. But I
It's love.
mean, it's sometimes you come across one where you're like, I'm not supposed to have a favorite, but if I did, it would be you.
Yeah, that's funny.
It's a family. At the end of the day, we're actually there, like you said, more than we're actually at home.
Yeah.
But it's beautiful that we all get to be a part of something so amazing. And that's where it takes resident engagement, staff engagement, family engagement, community engagement to make it the very best. And I think that's what makes a big difference at our
Absolutely,
place would be
yeah.
just the culture of everyone has a voice. The biggest room is the room for improvement. We want to do better. Let us know when we're not. And we're going to troubleshoot
Instead of running
that.
away from that, you embrace it.
We embrace
Oh,
it.
yes.
I think that also ties into the level of care and having those conversations with families and residents. One thing I'm so proud of with our nursing team is they are equipped and able to have those hard conversations with families and with residents to make sure safety is always a priority.
Okay.
Yes, we want all of our residents to be as independent for as long as possible, but there is a point where safely us having to do some activities of daily living are needed for the best quality of life and for them to have the best outcomes.
So is that going to cost me more money?
That will. And those are the hard conversations.
Okay, that's what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Dad is having a hard time being continent, either bowel or bladder. He's not really feeding himself. His ambulation's poor. We need to have more hands-on with him, right?
That's correct.
So every touch, if you will, so is that scored on a point system? How do you come up with that? As a point system? Is everybody the same? Is everybody different? No.
Everybody.
Here again, the differences. This is why shopping around pays. This is why we're doing this.
100%, yes.
So
And
true.
so it is safe to say that the more you need, the more it costs.
Okay.
And
Good rule of thumb.
every community charges for cares, but how they're going to charge you is going to vary from place to place and is community driven. So the questions asked may be all the same from place to place, but what they do with those answers and how you're charged for that care can vary. So I would say most communities, they work within what are called levels of care. So the nurse does her assessment, and based on those assessment results, it's, do you need help with this task? Yes or no? Okay, if you need help with this task, how much help do you need? And then some questions are very yes or no. We're either doing it or we're not doing it. And some have degrees, like showering. Is it just we're standing there in the room, handing you your towel, making sure you don't slip, right on up through, we're help getting you undressed, we're getting you in the shower, we're physically giving you a shower and getting you out.
Okay.
Some communities may itemize or a la carte their care services, where if you are receiving this service, transportation to meals, here's the cost for that. If you are receiving help with showers, this is the cost for that. Other communities, they take all the answers for the assessment, they plug it into the computer, and it's, okay, this task is this many points, this task is this many points.
Okay.
Based on the results, you're going to fall into a level, and that level is going to be associated with a dollar amount, and that is your care cost.
Okay. Is that usually double the rent? Or who knows?
It
Could
varies.
be more than that.
It
It could be
varies.
less than that.
I have not seen.
Is there a rule of thumb for that?
Really, no.
Okay.
No, because it's the community standard that is set. It's hard to say. With the communities that I have seen, care costs have not eclipsed rent costs.
Okay.
And I've not seen it at other places as well, but that's not to say it doesn't exist. It just means I haven't seen it yet.
Okay. Well stated. Well stated. Okay, we have a couple more topics we didn't finish up last time.
Let's do it.
One of them's memory care.
Yes.
Do you provide memory care?
Yes,
We
we
do.
do.
So you do independent,
Yes.
Yes.
assisted,
Yes.
and memory care?
Yes, we do.
Yes.
So are you a CCRC then or
I would
not?
consider us such, yes.
Okay. So basically somebody can move in and they can stay with you until They transition.
That is
Right.
correct.
Okay.
As long as we can meet their needs within our disclosure of services.
So what
That's the
would,
caveat.
just for your, I appreciate the caveat, but
Yeah.
let's give families a real life kind of
Of
situation.
course.
So what if somebody came in and we think, okay, we're going to be here for the rest of their life, and then what would make that not really safe for them or plausible for them to be with you?
I'm very transparent with families because of my training experience. I can without a doubt say if we cannot meet their needs and they're not safe, if they're in imminent danger of themselves or others, we would then help find a safe place. I'll give an example of that.
Please.
In a situation where dementia, as we know, can change over time, if someone starts to become assaultive,
Okay.
so they become a danger to themselves, to others, especially in our community, we have a small 14-bed community. So in those types of situations, we will always try our best. Is it a medication stabilization type of situation where we
Medication
work?
change or
Exactly.
not enough, too much, different.
And then at that point, do they need stabilized? So we will try to work with family, with providers, with the hospital at times to stabilize so they can stay at the community. But there are times where their dementia changes to where they need a more increased level of care, a more specific behavior unit for that specific disease process.
Okay.
So that's an example of one. Another area in which we may not be able to meet their needs with our specific disclosure of service would be ostomies. So ostomies are an example for our community where we at this time do not take men or women that have ostomies.
Ostomies. Okay.
However, disclosure of services can change. But that's where I think it's so important to know the community you're at, what can they do, what can't they do. So when I meet with families when they're about to move in, when I'm doing the admission paperwork with them, I'm very specific. If you're ever going to need, if you ever,
Feeding
a
tube.
feeding tube is an example.
Or a mechanical lift to get you from one place to another. And one of the nuances is that is this a new need that is not expected to resolve or that can be resolved? Or is this you have entered the time frame with which you are getting ready to pass on to the next thing? Because if a person is declining because they're dying, that is a whole different approach than somebody who is declining but not dying.
Okay.
So we can do a single case agreement with the disclosure of services.
What's a single case agreement?
Those single case agreements would be an agreement we have with the family to provide. So in that example, it would be hospice.
Okay.
They have hospice service in which can help us support to make sure they can have a safe, dignified end of life process while we're able to meet their needs.
Because the hospice comes with a doctor, nursing staff, and
24/7. If they needed to come in, we could have that assistance.
If they needed a Hoyer lift, then it's appropriate.
Okay.
But like, let's say, my knees are shot, and even with two people trying to get me on and off the toilet, it's just not stable and it's not safe. But otherwise, there are no concerns for my health and I'm not really failing in any way. That's where the discussion starts happening of where is the most appropriate place to get the care that you need.
This might be too high of a level of care
Correct.
for our staff, right?
Exactly.
Correct.
Okay.
Daily wound care is another great example.
Yeah.
If someone is needing daily wound care to where a licensed nurse is doing the wound care, that would be more of a skilled nursing setting.
Yeah.
So that's where having those conversations up front, we're very transparent. I'm very transparent, and I will always say the goal is always to have this be mom and dad's last chapter, last place. However, if it ever becomes unsafe for them or others, we will have that conversation. There will always be a safe discharge. We'll always do the human thing, but at the end of the day, we're held to that standard of making sure they're safe and their quality of life is the best it can be.
So it's not cold-heartedness, it's a safety issue.
Safety.
And it's their care needs, they enter a danger zone because the staff experience, the staff you don't have nurses that can do the one-on-one with people, and so it becomes something dangerous where this person probably needs more medical attention, where there's 24/7, LPNs or licensed practical nurses or RNs around that can be monitoring these things like wounds, right? Is that what I mean? So I know that you're telling me that you are gentle with the family, you work with the family, you help them, you give them recommendations about what that transition may look like. But can facilities like yours, communities like yours, actually evict people?
That's correct.
Okay, they can.
Yes.
Okay.
There's a discharge process. So there's
Okay.
a 30-day notice for discharge.
Okay.
But the standard is always to ensure that there is safe placement. So
Okay.
sometimes it's going to be greater than 30 days.
Okay.
And that's where, interim to that transfer for safety, we work with the family to make sure that resident is safe until they can get to the next
Are you
place.
pulling in
Yeah.
additional services? You're going to the
That's
family and
correct.
like,
Yeah.
hey, we need home health in here, private
Sometimes
duty.
one-on-one
One-on-one.
until we
yeah.
can get
Okay.
them to the next level of care.
Yeah, and there's going to be a charge for that, right? The one-on-one's going to.
That's correct.
So just families be aware that, it's not easy getting old and it's not cheap.
No,
Is
it's
it?
not.
And you don't know. I
You
mean,
don't know.
that's where every day is going to be different. And that's where we always say you have to join their journey.
Yeah.
We do the best we can and we maneuver as much as we can and we try to forward think as much as we can. But at the end of the day, we don't know how someone's going to progress.
So speaking of, every day is going to be different. Let's talk about memory care. Because it's always a new day. It's like Groundhog's Day, right? So talk to me about memory care. What a lot of people, in my experience, probably wait too long because mom or dad has good days at home, then bad days, and then maybe they're still driving, and you don't want to have those hard conversations. Is it difficult for somebody who has memory issues to transition?
Absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about that and what kind of interventions maybe your staff does, or what your level of care is for those folks to make it smooth and safe?
Of course.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at memory care for, let's say, transitioning one of our assisted living residents to memory care, there would be a couple variables where we want to do that. Mostly it's usually they're starting to exit, seek, and wander.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the
And
big
that's
one.
a safety concern.
They're trying to get out and go.
That's correct.
Okay.
And that's where we start having that conversation for the transfer into the secure access unit. My experience, it's best to do it prior to an emergent situation occurring because it allows a smoother transition.
Why
It's
is
not because it's not a rushed transition. It's not a we're unpacking their items, bringing it over to memory care.
Yeah.
It's more of they're
It's not
part
chaotic.
of that process.
Okay.
And I think that's where that's really important. I think the other idea would be they believe this is a completely higher level, institutionalized level of care. And I think it's beautiful for not only the family, but that resident to see coming over to this part of the community. It's not that way at all.
No, it isn't.
We, our community, they still interact with our main community.
They
come-
do.
Oh,
they
they do?
come. They come to our events.
Mhm.
We have to maintain their integrity and their safety, but they are still very much our community members, and so they do have their own activities program that is specifically for them and their needs and their abilities. But when we have our big Mother's Day tea, open house events and things like that, we bring them out to join in the festivities,
They're
just
part of it.
They're
just
part of
like
it.
everybody else. And that's so important to us because even though their need may be higher, they are still our people.
Yeah.
So
So talk to our families about when mom and dad are in memory care and everything's locked.
yes.
How should we look as people, like we're checking out different, what are we looking for
Yes.
there so we know that they're not going to be forgotten and parked,
Activity program.
Yeah.
Activity programs are essential
Okay.
for families and residents being part of a community. I have to say, I think that's where, one, it helps in so many realms. It helps with their psychological well-being, but it's also to prevent falls. I mean, if someone's bored, if you look at
They're
falls
going to get
and the
squirmy.
risk of
Yeah, they're going to
falls,
get squirmy.
they start to get impulsive and then they end up tripping, they end up falling. If you have an activity program throughout the day, your falls are going to decrease.
Really?
Because you have staff engagement there, they're there with residents, they're amongst each other, it's safety.
They're busy.
They're
Yeah.
busy.
Yeah. Okay.
The other
Look
item-
at your touring places. Look at their clothes. Look at their kemptness. Look at their fingernails.
their dignity.
Okay.
Okay.
How well are they being watched after and minded? Because memory cares are traditionally not on every campus, but they're locked unit. They're tucked away.
Right. They're
right?
tucked away.
Out of
yeah.
sight. And so
And they're disguised with bookshelves or whatever on the door.
and
you know?
so when you
or
go to
forest
visit
path.
them, go, especially if you know that your search is for memory care, right? Like that's where we're at. We're at that point where it's
Yeah.
not a transition to, it's where we are.
Yeah.
Visit multiple times throughout the day. Visit on the weekend.
Are you
And
saying surprise visit?
Yes, surprise
yes,
visit.
I am saying
Truly.
surprise visit.
I was kind of
Yes.
hoping you were saying that, but I
Yeah.
wasn't sure.
Yeah, no,
You wanna clarify?
absolutely.
Truly.
Absolutely. Now understand with that demographic, there's always surprises waiting
There's gonna be
and
surprises.
account for
Okay.
that. But that's why I say visit more than once and don't visit at the same time a day. And again, look at, and I say that with a grain of salt because when folks, not even in memory care, are just older, they might want to wear the same thing 2-3 days in a row.
Yeah, it's
and
what
that's
they're comfortable in.
and it's fair and
They're right.
appropriate.
And you
but
have to let them do that, right?
100%.
Okay.
100%. But if there's obviously food crusting or crud under the fingernails or no kind of discernible attempt made to be kempt, then I would kind of,
Okay.
Staffing. I
Yeah,
think that's a really
that's another
important
thing.
variable for families to ask about is what's your staffing ratio back in your memory care area?
Okay. What should it be?
So assisted living is not like skilled where there's a specific number.
Okay.
I would say, do you have enough staff that can meet the needs of your residents? So I'll give you an example. Right now we have 12 residents within our community. We have a smaller
our memory care
Our memory
community
is
is
smaller.
smaller.
Okay.
So we have 12 and we have 2 staff during the day, 2 staff during the evening, and we have 1 at night.
Okay.
And that's where we also have 2 other staff members that support the other side of the community at night if they needed assistance.
So you have 3 staff members at night in the
whole building.
In the whole
camp.
building.
That's
Okay.
correct. Yes.
Okay.
And that's where asking, what is your staffing ratio and the needs, and that's where everyone is going to be different. And assisted is hard because there's not a specific ratio like
Yeah.
the skilled has.
So when we're talking about nursing home or rehab centers, right?
That's correct.
Okay. So skilled nursing, their staffing ratios, whatever they might be, or
That's
something to 1, 12 to 1, 10 to 1. Hopefully it's 10 to 1 or 12 to 1 at the most. But with you guys, with memory care, you have 2 to 12 right
That's
now
correct.
for 3/4 of the, or not, yeah, 3/4 of the day or 60.
correct.
Okay. All right. That's a pretty good staffing ratio.
Something else I would look at too is what does their access to outdoor spaces look like and how is that facilitated? One thing I'm very proud of the company that we work for is that they really believe that folks should have unfettered, unencumbered access to true natural outdoor spaces without waiting for somebody to take you to
Are you
enjoy
saying
that.
unlock the door?
Well,
They can go outside
there's
24/7 if they
Okay.
want.
the doors are obnoxiously alarmed. So that, but what's great is somebody wanders outside on a nice day, just like they've done their whole entire life.
Yeah.
And staff hear that alarm go off and they can look out the window and they can be like, all right, Jessica's outside. I'm going to finish what I'm doing. I'm going to poke my head back out there in a minute and she's safe. That courtyard is secured. Another one of our campuses had the brilliant idea. It's a memory care neighborhood. And what they did is they secured the entire campus. And
Oh.
so you have 4 houses, but the sidewalks are heated. The foliage is edible. There's sprinklers for the summertime. They want folks out and about
So they can
enjoying.
just kind of go visit
Just
in the
come
neighborhood,
and
right?
go
It's
as
a
they
neighborhood.
Yeah.
please. It's a neighborhood.
It's
That's
a
a
block
great
party.
idea.
So-
It's a block
It's a-
Who doesn't
But
love
that's
a block
important,
party?
you know, because you might go to a memory care and it has this gorgeous outdoor space, but how much does it get used? If somebody has to take you out there, they're out there and they're tapping their toes and they're waiting for you to get your sunshine in because they got to go back in and change 2 people and get lunch ready.
Yeah.
And so being able to come and go as you've naturally done your whole life is super important to folks.
Well, and there's so much demand on caregivers. We touched on it in our first part. It's really a calling, and it's, I think, underappreciated.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, you've got people who might need some immediate attention. You've got this person who wants to be outside, and
They're special. I mean, I
Yeah.
tell you what, it takes a very special person to work in memory care. And that's why there's increased training that's required, because it is a different population. You really have to be able to join their journey. Even though everyone has that care plan, when you're working with anyone with cognitive impairment, one moment they can be doing things by themselves and they're just standby making sure they're okay. And the next minute, they may need hands-on assistance. And that's where you really just have to be able to anticipate, join their journey, and it really does take a special person.
So what kind of extra training do they need? I mean, you can't just sign up and say, I'm a patient person, I never get flustered. That's not going to...
So in assisted living, there's mental health and dementia, a specialized course that's required.
Okay.
So that's the specific certification required. And then if you have anyone with developmental disabilities, that's another one that you would need.
Okay.
But then now, as of July 1st, there's actually going to be more regulations within memory care, as there should be,
Yeah.
where they need increased training for dementia-specific training each year.
Okay.
So if you're working in a memory care community, you're going to need at least 6 hours of your 12 CEUs per year
Towards
to be
memory care.
That is correct, to be
Okay.
focused for dementia and
So
any
a question
type
to
of cognitive
ask
impairment.
if we're a family shopping around is,
Yeah.
what's are all of your staff certified?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Do they have their dementia specialized training?
Yeah. Okay. Did not know that.
Mhm.
This is great information. I mean, it's still spinning. It's spinning from the last conversation, but I want to kind of dive into the juicy stuff, and that's campus romance.
Okay, campus romance.
Men and women, boys and girls, men and women have been getting together, well, since Adam and Eve.
Correct.
That's
And
correct.
so, does that stop when they get old? When we get older, is that what we get to look forward to, or
No.
can you? Would you mind?
No,
keep it.
PG-13.
Yeah, PG-13.
Okay, perfect. So residents have rights. With that being said, we also then have to make sure we're doing our due diligence, that they're cognitively able and have the capacity to make that decision to have
Okay.
intimacy.
Okay.
So that's where, I would just give you an example based on my experience. When I'm notified that there may be a love interest within the community, what myself and the nurses do is the nurses will do a mini mental. And what that is,
Yeah, what is that?
the mini mental is an assessment that our nurses do, and it will let you know what their specific cognitive level is.
Okay.
Now, if someone's having consensual intimacy, they have to be able to be on that
Consent
same.
to that.
Consent to
Yeah,
that.
they have to be able to
Yeah.
consent to that.
Okay.
They have to be on that same cognitive spectrum, if you will.
Okay.
So an example would be, let's say you have someone that has no cognitive impairment, but then you have someone that has cognitive impairment. At that time, we would then educate them and say, you can be friends. That's your right to be friends. But we need to notify you that at this time, they're not able to have consent. So if anything further were to occur, then we would have to get involved. And then that becomes a whole nother.
That's not going to look good, right?
And that's where that communication, it's being able to have those hard, open conversations, but yet it's really important because they don't know. To them, it's just another person
They
that they've
hooked
been
up.
able
It's
to.
what they've done,
They don't know what their many mental is.
Romance is blooming. It's springtime.
Well, so much so. I mean, you've got people that are, maybe a spouse has passed and they become friends, and the desire for a little ooh la la never really goes away.
Yeah.
It's just the circumstances may change a little bit. So we encourage partnerships, however they may come about. We're not against it, but we need to make sure that they are appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah, I imagine the families are very sensitive.
It can
To
be
be.
a
Yeah.
sensitive topic.
How do you approach it
Absolutely.
with the family? Do you tell
Sometimes
them,
they approach it with us.
yeah, okay, or that. Either way, how's this spicy romance thing work in the community?
You just have to, it's just a conversation you have to have. And then at
Yeah.
that time, it's navigating and letting them know, especially if they're on that they're cognitively able to make that consent and they want to continue that relationship. It's working with the families and letting them know they have rights and that we're here to protect them, to make sure they're able to
100%.
have those rights and live the best quality of life.
Okay.
I have to say, I've never had a negative interaction with the family after that initial shock. Do they love it? No. However, they understand it. And I think
Get
that's
away from my
where
mom.
it's just knowledge and communication. And I think it just goes back to they're humans just like
Yeah.
us. We're men and women and they have rights and we want to make sure we're protecting them,
Okay.
but we want to make sure they're safe and they're being protected.
It's just a interesting topic. So I'm going to bring up one more thing about this because it's a health thing.
Okay.
So, we coach our teenagers and our college kids, beware of STDs, right?
Correct.
Are there STDs in community?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. And that's something to be mindful of, to be able to say and promote, like, hey, just so you know, if you need anything or if you want to practice safe sexual practices, like we will support that, not just from a making sure everybody is truly safe to be doing so, but that has everything that they need
to
for
stay
the
safe.
for the safety. And I mean, it's something, does it happen? Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, it does. But it's also very taboo. I mean, it's somebody's mom and dad, right?
Yeah.
It's the elderly. It's just,
It's a little bit of the ooh factor. I'm just going to say
but
a little bit, but
it happens. Folks make friends, they become sweethearts.
yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a college dorm, but there are definite companionships that take hold where people, they become sweet on each other.
Yeah.
You'll see hand hold and you'll see the pecks on the cheek.
I mean,
They'll
don't
go,
you
"Oh,
love
that's my
that stuff though?
boyfriend."
At the end of the day, I know if it's not your parent, but I can just imagine that's just.
Well, it's that need for connection.
It's that connection.
The connection that you have with another person that is, not just, this is Bob that I have lunch with, but like, yeah, this is my bingo buddy. And we hang out, we watch movies and we hold hands.
Yeah.
That's so important.
Families understand that too. I have to say, not so much this community, but my prior community, we did have we had a lot of people that find almost their soulmates even after their spouse had passed away.
Really?
And just their family would come in and be like, well, that's not dad or that's not mom, but I see how happy they are.
Yeah.
And they end up embracing that male or female as well.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, but that's where connection is so beautiful at any stage of your life.
Yeah.
And that's where I think these communities, they do allow you to have just, the end of life should be as beautiful as the beginning. So making sure you're able to enjoy and have that amazing quality of life and keeping your rights and being able to enjoy it.
I brought that up because I was approached about this a few years ago by someone, and I'm like, I'm in these communities all the time, but I'm not in long enough to really get I'm not in the inner circle of any community. I just say that. So I was like, what? I'd like to talk to somebody about that. So you two, I didn't want to blindside you.
No, not at all.
Perfect opportunity, because I think families need to understand that mom or dad might find
they might find
romance.
a sweetheart. They might find a romance
sweetheart.
for
Somebody to
sure.
celebrate Valentine's Day with or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's great. Okay, what else should we know before we summarize and kind of wrap up? Is there anything else that?
Yes.
Okay.
So with regards, I'm only going to pick one thing.
Okay.
But with regards to memory care, one of the questions I get asked, it's usually families that are doing the fact finding. They are aware that if the need is not upon you, that there may be a need down the road. And one of the questions is, when do we pull the trigger on it?
Yeah.
What does that look
When and
like?
how?
When and you know, because we don't want to wait too long. Because as you experience cognitive decline, it's, you know, you get your diagnosis, and maybe you've been exhibiting for years and you finally got around to getting a diagnosis, or maybe it ran in the family and you were being proactive and getting it early. But there comes a point where things start being different and acting different. And some folks, when you're all the way through your journey, what it is hopefully into what we consider pleasant confusion, you're okay kind of once you get here, but it's the getting there that's really hard. And as a lot of folks, they'll be aware of what is happening to them. And it's that middle piece, it's that hardest part where they know things are falling away.
What's that look like for them?
It can manifest as isolation because they are aware, like maybe they keep asking the same questions at home, and family's like, you already asked me that. You already asked me that. And it triggers in them like, I'm asking the same questions over and over again. And so I just will quit asking questions, or I'll tell the same story over and over again. And they'll be like, we just talked about that yesterday. And so they'll withdraw into themselves. And so that middle piece is such a hard reckoning piece for folks. But what it looks like when, let's say you're the caregiver, right? And this person is living in your home, and you know, I mean, let's face it, and I'm sorry, and I hate if I'm breaking this news to anybody, but we are all going to experience cognitive decline as we age, okay? Being forgetful, asking the same questions, I'm sorry, we're all going to do it. That does not mean that mom needs memory care. It means it could just be garden variety decline as we age.
Cognition.
But if you're at a point to where you are having to rearrange your lifestyle and your days to account for somebody else's safety.
Can't go see the girlfriends, or can't go hang out with the boys.
Can't go have lunch unless somebody's at home with mom. Can only be at the store for 30 minutes because I got to get back. Dad will be looking for me. That's when it's really probably time to consider community living. And the best thing families can do, especially when they feel like that's going to be something that comes down the road, is have those conversations about what you're going to want that to look like when you can no longer say what you want. Kind of have an idea in place, like, hey, we know this day is going to come, and so tell me now. You know, and even go so far as to say, you know, I would say, this is when you send me, okay? When I start doing X, Y, Z, when it's like this for you, and this is the place I want to go to, and this is what I want to see when I get there, and here are the things I want to take with me, because I will tell you, memory cares, and you've probably seen this all over too, these are not big rooms, these are not 2-bedroom apartments, these are, they are small units. Some communities you might find shared bathrooms. Okay, because they want folks out of the rooms and engaging as much as possible. They don't want them isolating and withdrawing. If you're in your happy spot watching your shows because that's your jam, cool. But if you're sitting there staring out the window, just kind of not really anythinging, then that's a problem.
Okay. Are shared bathrooms safe?
So
no bathroom is safe. Period. End of.
That's truly. You know, I think that's where a lot of communities really do convert over to having the bathroom in more of the hallway area. That way the staff can continue to have that visualization of that bathroom.
They're easier to keep clean. There's less chance of an accident. I mean, cognitive decline aside, a lot of accidents that happen to folks of a certain age, they're happening in the bathroom. And so to have your own private bathroom, which we do. There's also that, okay, if you get into the bathroom and start playing in the water, now you've created a puddle on the floor that's a danger to not just you, but anybody who walks in your room. And so it's a way to minimize and mitigate the potential for an accident to happen.
Well, that's why I asked that question. Like if my adjoining room person comes in the bathroom and does that,
Yeah.
splashes in the sink, and then I come in right after because I have to
Yeah.
use the restroom.
There's a potential. I mean, that's where that's the hard variable of
So
humans,
why
right?
do
Because we don't
communities
know.
do that? If they have shared bathrooms.
So the one I'm thinking of in particular, it is not shared like my suite, her suite, and this is our bathroom. It is a community bathroom.
Okay.
So it the way the building is laid out, it's like a big old zero. The hallways go around, the rooms are on the interior, and there's a community bathroom here and a community bathroom here.
Okay.
And staff are mindful of, we're going to go to the bathroom, we're going to check and see if you need anything, to where the likelihood of somebody creating an unsafe bathroom situation is less likely. And these are great bathrooms. It's a bathroom
Okay.
shower combo, because sometimes you get into the bathroom and you're like,
Yeah.
we're going to need a
We need a
shower.
We're in the shower.
So
Okay.
so there's pros and cons to each, but that it's very mindful and intentional having those community bathrooms
Yeah.
in places. So I know it comes across as a little strange the first time you see it, but once you understand the reckoning of it, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do, and we're not afraid to talk about anything here. I mean, we're
Yeah,
talking
no,
about all
100,
bodily
100%.
functions.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
At the Voice of Aging.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy, but that's what we're here for. Okay, this has been great. Do you have anything you want to
You know,
make sure we don't miss?
I do.
Aleshia?
So I would encourage families, especially if they have someone they love that has cognitive impairment. Teepa Snow is an amazing educator, and you can YouTube her, and
Yeah.
it's all free. But I would encourage families to watch Teepa Snow
Okay.
because it really allows them, one, to understand their loved one's perception, because their perception's their reality. But it also allows them to understand, how can I join their journey?
Yeah.
And I think that is, knowledge is power. And I think it also allows them to understand, this is where my loved one's currently at, and this is where I see we need to go in the future.
Yeah.
So Teepa Snow, I just want to say,
Can you spell that for the audience, because it's an interesting name. It's
TEEPA
Yep.
SNOW.
Teepa Snow.
Teepa Snow,
Yeah.
but she is amazing.
She talks about touch, about
Yes.
how to speak with, you know, we find ourselves yelling at the top of our lungs, thinking that someone with cognitive impairment can't hear us, but it's really not,
I can.
Yeah.
right?
You know, I was told a story when I first got into long-term care, and this will be quick, but I want to say this because it's so true. Imagine you're in a room like this, and my phone rings, and I get a call that says, my daughter just got in a car accident. And then I'm looking for the door because my daughter just got in a car accident.
You're in flight and fright mode,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
And then Kristen stops me at the door and says, you need to go eat your toast. It's breakfast. And I'm like, no, my daughter just got in a car accident. She says, oh no, it's toast time. It's that understanding of their perceptions, their reality. At any time, they could have moments that revert back to different memories, different times within their life. And it's hard. It's hard to navigate, but you can't reason at that point with them at that point. So that's where learning those strategies, and Teepa is great at it, to be able to listen, walk with them, calm them, join their journey, and redirect.
Redirect them.
Yeah.
That is the goal. So that's where Teepa Snow, I tell you what, she's amazing.
I appreciate you sharing that, and just the visual of, you know, the daughter in the car accident.
Yeah.
From the memory, the person who's losing their memory, what their reality is, you know, because we're in our reality and we're trying to be rational. That never works. I coach our kids, as I say, they're all in their 40s or 50s. You know, maybe you should address your parents this way. And I often give them resources like what you're referencing. So yeah, there's resources out there, and there's the Alzheimer's Association too, and they
They're
have
amazing.
quick guides you can get for free. Everything's for free, so that's great. To wrap that up, but it just sounds like to kind of summarize what we've been talking about the last couple sessions. It starts at the top with the ownership, and from the ownership to the management, which you folks are part of, the messaging you have, it's like having a great coach on a team.
That's correct.
And right, and you talk a lot about coaching and how big the room that needs to be for the opportunity to learn, right? Staffing ratios are super important.
Yes.
Engagement, food, cafeteria food,
Yes.
resident rights, and I think people should ask, what exactly are the rights of the residents before they move into? I don't
Absolutely.
think people really understand that,
And it's required for them. And that's one thing I would also say is you can absolutely ask for documentation like that prior to signing the admission agreement.
Okay.
Because that is something within our admission agreement,
Yeah.
we give all of our families, residents, it's a requirement that
Yeah,
they
but
have
it's
a
so
copy.
overwhelming
It
at the
is so
time.
overwhelming.
It's like, I've got all this paperwork.
And that's where asking for it initially and being able then to bring it to their loved one and say, Mom, Dad, like, look, you have all of these rights.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And would you call it the disclosure of
Disclosure of
services?
services.
I think that's a huge takeaway for people to really ask about staffing ratios and disclosure
That's
of
correct.
services. So you kind of really know what you're getting into. Popping in at different times.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yes.
Jessica, I love that. And I'm going to
Yes.
tell everybody out there it's Jessica that recommended
Yeah.
that.
It's
Just
me.
as well.
Yeah. But I think that's great too, because that way you can kind of see if they're just preparing for a tour of the facility and
Yeah.
everybody's all on board. And hey, we've got people coming in at 1 o'clock and at 3 o'clock, to
Yeah.
look. So I think that's great because we all want to put our best foot forward. Right?
100%.
100%.
But you should always be putting your best foot forward, not just because company's coming over.
Right. We want to know what the reality is
Yes.
of the situation we move in. And it's going to just cut down any animosity anywhere that can build up, right? So I think that's great. Yeah, and thank you again so much,
Thank you,
Jessica,
Brynne.
Our pleasure.
Alicia.
Thank you.
It's been so much fun. This is another edition of The Voice of Aging brought to you by Aging Solutions. I'm Brynne Malone, your host and owner of Aging Solutions. You can find us on Instagram, YouTube, Spotify. We're on all the social media. And where can they find your community on social media to learn a little bit more about your
Yep.
community?
Vineyard Park, South Hill.
Facebook page.
Okay, Vineyard Park, South Hill.
That's
Yep.
correct.
Okay, so if you're in Eastern Washington or you have family members that may want to move to Eastern Washington, check out Vineyard
Please
Park.
do. Yeah.
You'll meet these fine young ladies. And that's it for today's edition of Voice of Aging. Thank you.